Paddy is here to stay. Paddy Pimblett just put on a statement performance at UFC 314, dismantling Michael Chandler easier than almost anyone ever has. Many doubted if he would be able to make it to this level, and so far, he's been showing out. So this is why everyone was wrong about Paddy the Baddie.
And by the way, we're Punch Talk and are bringing you daily combat sports videos, so if you enjoy the content, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to help support the channel. So just a couple years ago, Paddy was in a very weird position in the UFC. He just had a very close decision, controversial one against Jared Gordon. Many thought he lost that fight. He didn't do nearly enough to win, and they gave him the decision. Then he was talking about how he should get a performance bonus, how that was fight of the night, how that was such a great performance, and that he won the fight, which many obviously didn't take too well to. There were so many videos back then about how Paddy Pimblett was losing his fans. He's delusional. His reputation is completely destroyed. But now in the last couple of years, he's kind of seemed to have turned it around. When he made it to the UFC, many didn't know what kind of level Paddy would get to. He was this exciting new talent from Cage Warriors, but even in Cage Warriors took a few losses in his career, but he was a young and green guy at the time. He is still pretty young at 30 years old even today. So when you look at the lightweight landscape, you have the Charles Oliveira's, Justin Gaethje's, Michael Chandler's, who Paddy just fought, Dustin Poirier's. All these guys are in their mid to late 30s. Even Islam Makhachev is a couple years older than Paddy. So when you're looking at the future of the lightweight division, Paddy Pimblett is definitely a guy that should be on your radar, especially now with this emphatic performance. But how did he get here? His early fights in the UFC weren't necessarily smooth sailing. He did go through some adversity. He took some shots, even in his UFC debut against Luigi Vendramini. I remember everyone watching that fight and thinking, okay, Paddy maybe not on the level that people think he is and the hype presents, but he kept on winning, and the UFC did a great job of slowly building him up, not rushing him into the deep end too early, not taking too much big of step ups. And as we've seen in the last couple years, Paddy has just been getting better and better slowly but surely.
Yeah, Paddy's growth has definitely been evident throughout his UFC career. He's been in the UFC for almost 4 years now, having had multiple fights, gaining that experience, getting better, and he's always been a polarizing figure in the scene. He's been able to capture a huge audience, especially in the UK, with how exciting he can be at press conferences, some of the insults he likes to throw at his opponents, and of course also advocating for mental health, especially after some of his wins. And even how popular he got on social media for his crazy weight loss and how heavy he balloons up to in between fights. So Paddy's journey has definitely been pretty special to watch, and now we're even been seeing growth in his fights directly. Coming into the UFC, it was mostly known that Paddy was a very good submission guy. He was a strong grappler and able to put out most guys out with his submissions, but was still untested against top competition and especially with his stand-up. But as the fights have gone on, we've seen him make improvements in that stand-up heavily, being able to put together better shots, using his kicks more efficiently, and even with his boxing, we've seen improvements there. Of course, it's nothing perfect yet, but when you put that together with his grappling and how he's able to mix it up, and even with his self-proclaimed best fight IQ in the UFC, he's looking to be a very dangerous threat at lightweight and can definitely be making some huge movements up towards the top of the ladder here soon.
Yeah, I think for Paddy, a key for him to just keep on this momentum is to be a little bit more active. As we've seen in the last couple of years, 2023 he only had one fight against Tony Ferguson, 2024 he had one fight against King Green, now in 2025 he just fought Michael Chandler. So if he wants to break through to that top level of the lightweight division, he's going to want to be a little bit more active, maybe take a bit more steps up in competition. It seems like he's calling now for those big names, the Justin Gaethje's, the Charles Oliveira's, the Arman Tsarukyan's, Dustin Poirier's. Those are the type of fights that Paddy does need next for him, and he has to get tested. A lot of people are still criticizing him for fighting older guys. Tony Ferguson obviously on a big losing streak, Michael Chandler, an older guy, also on a losing streak. He did submit Bobby Green in the first round, even faster than Islam Makhachev, but even Bobby Green definitely isn't a top level UFC fighter, especially nowadays. So his rise has definitely been interesting to see. It feels like there's been a lot of ups and downs, but so far in his UFC career, he's still yet to take a loss.
Yeah, so far it's been pretty smooth sailing for Paddy Pimblett, other than that Jared Gordon fight. That fight was really where we saw him get tested heavily. All the way back in 2022, he was definitely getting caught heavily by Jared Gordon's boxing, getting countered a lot throughout that entire fight, so much to where I also think that Jared Gordon won that fight, to be honest. And personally, I was starting to doubt Paddy Pimblett. How high could he really get if he was pretty much losing to Jared Gordon, a guy that is not going to be ranked, is not going to be at the height of the lightweight division? So how high could Paddy really reach if he's going toe-to-toe with that type of opposition? But through these fights, definitely started to prove me wrong, beating some some of these guys. Of course, they're not the absolute best that the UFC have to offer, but it's still good competition. It's still good for him to grow into the UFC, start to get the fights, start to get the experience, and now going on forward, it's gonna be straight killers for Paddy to face. He's gonna have to go up against some experienced, tough guys. There's been talks of him fighting maybe Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje. Those are elite strikers and gonna be hard for Paddy Pimblett to get through. But if he's able to, a title fight is definitely in the future for him.
Yeah, and the thing about that Jared Gordon fight, it wasn't necessarily really all about the performance. Sure, Paddy didn't look like a world beater or anything, but it was the way he was taking the fight, the way he was reacting, saying that I performed so well and it wasn't even close. The iconic moment of Joe Rogan talking about that was a very close fight. It's not even close, lad.
It was a close one. No, it wasn't. That wasn't close.
So when you have that mindset, it's kind of hard to grow and improve from there with you thinking that was a good performance. But while it may have seemed at the time that Paddy was delusional, he wasn't going to grow, he wasn't going to evolve from that fight, he didn't stay at that same level. He did grow, he did get better, and we started to see that as the years have went on, as he stepped up in competition, as he's now beaten Michael Chandler pretty much to a pulp. That was a very smooth sailing victory for Paddy Pimblett, who didn't really go through much adversity, and Michael Chandler just didn't really have any answers for the grappling. Even on the feet, Paddy was landing nice knees. Chandler wasn't really able to find much besides like some right hands timing Paddy's leg kicks, but other than that, Paddy dominated the fight, sliced Chandler up, started raining down elbows 12-6, and Paddy's a big guy for the lightweight division. As we know, all those memes of how big he gets in between fights and how much he eats, it's insane that he can even make 155, but he just locks in during training camp. He gets down and he makes the weight. He even made Michael Chandler look like a small guy in there, so who knows really where his ceiling lies.
Yeah, for sure, this Michael Chandler fight has really shown how far Paddy has come, being able to dismantle a pretty dangerous guy that can put out most guys if he gets a clean shot off. But I think as well, that's why he was getting so much criticism for that Jared Gordon fight as well, and previously in his career when people didn't really think he could even get ranked or make it that high, is because of his personality, and he likes to call things how he sees them, and doing it all while being very outspoken, which can definitely rub people the wrong way, especially when things don't look like it's going his way, like the Jared Gordon fight. And then you have people calling him delusional for thinking he can become a world champion when he's going life and death against a guy that's unranked. But now that we've seen the progression, we've seen that it isn't just all talk. He does have the skills to back it. He's a very well-rounded guy, which is what you gotta be these days to be a champion. You don't really see anyone that's just good in one department. The only exception to that was Alex Pereira, who was champion for a while, but other than that, every other champion right now is well-rounded, and that's gonna be the future. So Paddy could be one of the leading guys there going forward when some of the old guard retire.
Yeah, and a lot of people have kind of put Paddy down, saying he can never become a world champion, he'll never break through to that elite level, he'll never be ranked, and he'll never beat a top guy, he'll never beat a guy like Michael Chandler, he's gonna get knocked out. But Paddy's a sorcerer, he doesn't get knocked out.
He's almost hurt. He says he's a sorcerer, they don't get knocked out.
And honestly, when you look at the lightweight landscape, it's not like all these guys, all these killers are going to be around for that much longer, and it's impossible for Paddy to break through to that top level. I feel like he can be a top 5 guy for years to come. He could even potentially get into a title fight, challenge for world titles. If not in this generation, then maybe in 5 years, something like that down the line. He has time, he has room to improve, room to grow. And honestly, I feel like there's guys right now that he could probably beat. I feel like he would be favored even against the likes of Justin Gaethje maybe, who has struggled against elite grapplers like the Charles Oliveira's, the Khabib Nurmagomedovs. Obviously, it's a different level when you're talking about those lightweight goats, but still I feel like stylistically I'd favor Paddy there. Dustin Poirier is probably a pretty hard fight, but it's not like Paddy has no chance against these guys. A Charles Oliveira fight would be fire, but even if right now he can't break it to that championship level, which he probably can't with how stacked the lightweight division is and has been for so many years, pretty much the premier division of the UFC, has had such a competitive title picture for so many years. It's tough to know whether Paddy will become a world champion, but if he keeps on putting performances like this, if he keeps on running through opponents, if he keeps on building and not just rushing in too deep and just progresses like he has been. So far, it's been going very well for him, and I'm interested to see how he does in the future. If he is one of these future up-and-coming guys in the UFC, like you said, he is well-rounded, and that's what we're seeing pretty much all the champions these days have. When you look at Ilia Topuria, how well-rounded he is, he has obviously the great boxing and the grappling. Islam Makhachev with his crisp striking as well as his wrestling. Even Bilal Muhammad has started to develop his hands at welterweight. At middleweight, you got Dricus du Plessis, who can mix it up. Even light heavyweight, Ankalaev, he's a good tricky stand-up striker, also with the wrestling. And then John Jones, obviously, who can do it also. All the champions these days are pretty much just well-rounded guys, even Pantoja, Merab, all of them. So if Paddy wants to break through to that level, he's probably going to have to be that, and so far it looks like he is developing in all aspects of MMA. His striking is looking crisper every fight, his grappling is looking solid, and it's going to be interesting to see how far he can really go.
So it's definitely been evident Paddy's growth throughout his UFC career, and how people are more siding with him, believing that he does have a path forward and can become something special in the organization. But let us know down below what you think of Paddy Pimblett's career and his progression, and if you want to see more about Paddy Pimblett's rise, be sure to check out We Need to Talk about Paddy versus Chandler.